They say that car crashes happen in slow motion. The reality is that crashes happen fast. There's no time to think and no time to check if your child is in the right car seat. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your kids in the right seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Get more info at safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Maui's free speech station. KAKU 88.5 FM, Kahului, Maui. The voice of Maui.
Good morning. Aloha. It's Jason Schwartz. It's 11 o'clock Monday. This is the Neutral Zone. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many men sold away. And I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands and sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you get my name. That wasn't Mick Jagger. That was me. This is Jason Schwartz. I have a great guest today. Thank you for being here at the show, everyone. We're the Neutral Zone, which means we like to think that when we're here, we don't have any fixed opinions, and we're not blocking any opinions, and we're not stopping anyone from communicating about things, so that we have a holistic view of everything. We want all views and opinions. And I met someone that I'd done a show with years ago, Kurt Butler, and Kurt is here with us. If you have any interest in calling us, the number for calling is 808-873-3435. You may see it up on the screen on occasion. If you don't see me answering the phone, someone may come in and whack me because I can't hear through these headphones clearly. But we'll get at it. Kurt, thank you for joining me here.
Thank you, Jason. Really nice to be with you here on this glorious day.
It is a glorious day. Kurt, I was trying to think of when we met. It was probably years ago, and somehow you must have seen me yapping about something, and you had an opinion. And I said, sure, let's do a show. And we did a show, and I don't exactly even remember specifically, but I remember you sort of like to think of yourself, or at least you think that you think of yourself, as someone who people don't like your opinions and throw daggers.
That's right. I do believe that I, at times, have been the most hated person on Maui. And this is because my opinions, I am not neutral. This is, you're a neutral zone. I'm not neutral.
No, but that's why it's anything but neutral. We got opinions, sure.
And my opinions raise some hackles, especially here on Maui, where certain ideas seem to hold sway. The general philosophy of the general public and the media is a certain way, and my opinions and my feelings about this particular issue are very, very different. I'm very much in tune with most Mauians in terms of environmental protection and impeach Donald Trump and that kind of stuff. But there is a particular area of interest to people here where I'm just at loggerheads with almost everybody.
Okay, and let's identify the area.
Okay, let me illustrate first with a full-page newspaper a few days ago in the Honolulu Star-Advertiser.
All right.
This is an advertisement for Energy Medicine Seminar and Session led by Dr. Sandra Rose. Now, this is free to go there, but of course she'll try to sell you all kinds of stuff while you're there. This woman calls herself Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, DNM, PhD, DCS. She is not a doctor. She has no qualifications. She's not a PhD. She has no qualifications to call herself a doctor or to claim any kind of expertise in any kind of health area. And yet, she claims she can help you with every health problem you might have, no matter what, literally.
Now, it just so happens, while she was on Maui, someone said to me, "Oh, you have to interview Dr. Sandra Michael." And I'm sure this is the same lady.
Yeah.
That was, I've got to say, a few years ago. I don't know if you saw my show with her, but we sat in front of screens that somehow were attuned.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure. And that this environment created an environment that was a healing environment. I let people talk, and I always like to think that someone will substantiate and I don't know if you want to call it proof, but I reduce things
Back
to
it
science.
up. Give some evidence. This woman has, her claims are so utterly preposterous that...
What kind of claims did she make that you
Well,
were
she
specific?
claims she can help you with every health problem you have through so-called energy medicine. And she can do it through from a distance, from miles away, without ever having met you, without knowing nothing about your medical history. She can telepathically heal you. Now, and all you have to do is send in your name and your money. And it's so amazing that people fall for this kind of stuff.
I'm curious because energetic medicine, I have no chiropractors and doctors and things over
Well,
there.
it's a very vague term. What is
Well, and
energetic
again,
medicine?
And some of them actually
there's
can
no
tell
definition.
you and share with you proof. Like I have a friend who uses lasers, cold lasers and things like that. And he has different equipment that's fairly significant to be able to track different systems in the body, to track as he's doing things, how they make an impact over time. He deals with people, but he also deals with animals. And animals are a perfect subject in that they don't talk back and they don't go out and eat a candy bar on the sly, you know. So
well, let me finish about this, Sandra Michael.
Yeah.
This, like I say, is a full-page ad in the Star Advertiser. It must have cost many thousands of dollars. So do you think that if I were to...
It's actually an ad, not just an
Yeah,
article.
it's a full-page ad.
I see. Wow.
And, and of course, if I were to write in a letter criticizing this, exposing her as a scam artist, the paper would never run it. The paper would never send its own investigative journalist to take a good look at her and expose her for the scam artist that she is. So this shows the tie-in between the media and the health scam industries.
Well, you're tying it to the fact that because money comes in, they're selectively not doing their job as investigators.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm sure other people have that same opinion. Just so happens in the area of energetic medicine, do you ever meet a gal on this island named Dr. Deborah Green? She's a doctor.
She's a medical doctor, or
she's a doctor.
I mean, there's so many people on this island calling themselves doctor based on mail-order diploma degrees in nutrition, or just any number of totally scam alleged diplomas.
So, in other words, you're saying that the qualification to put a doctor on your name, and many times PhD doctor rather than medical doctor, and then having these people, this is one specifically, make claims that have no way to substantiate what they're talking about, and that the public is out there going, give me more, give me more. And in that, did they have testimonials from people that have expressed?
Right. There are testimonials in here, and they could all just be made up for all anybody knows.
Well, let's assume for a moment they're real. Anything in there that was substantiated in a way that served you, or not really? Not any of them. Did any of them say, well, you know, I had my medical test before and I had my medical test after, and my goodness, did I see a difference? That's what I'm talking about.
No, there's mostly a lot of sloganeering, like This new concept is, oh no, that's not a, I'm sorry, that's not a testimonial.
We're here with Kurt Butler and the Neutral Zone. I'm Jason Schwartz, KAKU Radio 88.5.
Okay, here's a testimonial. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, please.
I have tried this woman's, right, there's a picture of her and a quote below. Who knows if she really said this or even who she is.
I'm assuming
I have tried the technology and my knee pain went away and I didn't need the surgery. I can walk my dog 1.5 miles with no pain. That means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, again, I agree with you. Sometimes testimonials are unsubstantiated. In fact, most of the time, because in the area, especially of energetic medicine, where there's no area of proof that is easily available, many people make statements and they may actually believe what they say even, but there's nothing to really test and substantiate.
Right, test and substantiate. Now, there are these people who call themselves energy healers. There's Reiki, there's therapeutic touch, which is a very strange name for something in which you absolutely don't touch the person.
What's therapeutic touch?
Therapeutic touch is like Reiki. You hold your hands
near but not on.
Right. And now, have
you ever experienced energy from your body?
I have challenged these people to prove that they can tell a live body from a corpse. None of them will accept this challenge because they can't. It's all phony. They do not detect energy. Their clients lying on the table there with their eyes closed, they can't tell if this Reiki practitioner or energy touch practitioner's hands are close to you or not. Tests have shown nobody can tell. There is no aura that these people can feel or that you emanate.
Are you open to thinking that there may be people that have the sensitive ability?
I'm open to evidence, and I'm open to proof.
So, in fact, I myself am not defending here, but I do know that I have seen proof of energetic medicine. I've seen an aura. My brother studied with Dr. Valerie Hunt, and years ago, actually at UCLA when they were studying energetic medicine. And this is before I got married. My brother, he had epilepsy when we were kids, and he developed this uncanny sense of being able to see auras, if you want to call them that. And that's why when he went to college, he was the teaching assistant for Rosalind Briere and Valerie Hunt.
But what is an aura? So somebody has double vision. Is that an aura? So you have
I'm not saying that there aren't a lot of phonies.
You have after images, okay? Now, if you take, if you have, say you have a white poster or white wall in front of you, if you look away and look at something bright red for, 15 seconds, and then look at the blank wall, you will see a bluish greenish image, which is the complementary color, the opposite. So, I mean, all kinds of things happen with your vision.
No, I'm in no way disputing that. There are many things and people that, in my opinion, just sort of like your opinion. People claim a lot of stuff, and some people claim it without any substantive proof. And many of the people that make those claims really aren't interested in the science of it all. They are
interested in the money of it all.
Yes. But I do know people that because of that, I'll give you an example. It's different, but it's the same. There's a machine right now that in the world, Japan, China, the world, has over the last decades, minimum, found that hydrogen, and HHO hydrogen, which is called Brown's gas, got all kinds of names, has healing effect. And they've used it successfully to treat people with a myriad of diseases. So hydrogen, it's not like energy. It's something you can measure.
What, they breathe it, or?
Well, there are three ways to get hydrogen. Either infused into water delivery, or breathing it, or encapsulation, like you have a a rash or something, so you encapsulate into a bag and put the gas into it. Now, sometimes I'm using, that's a physical thing where you're talking about something that you can't really measure. But this doctor is interested. He works with lasers, a lot of things that were way ahead of proof. That's why I'm bringing it up. So as I introduced this to him, I know him for 20-something years. He wants to get a machine and prove it, exactly what you're saying, to be able to see in a meaningful way. I think that it would be very interesting to see and how to find someone like Sandra Michael or others. Any others? I mean, I know that this is a great and a very clear example of proof, not proof by expression without anything substantive.
It's just claims. It's just this is the classic con artist quackery, BS, that millions of people are engaged. Quackery is the world's oldest profession, and it's probably also the world's most profitable.
Sure.
And
well, the oldest profession is
quackery is.
I was going to say hookers, but okay, I'll go with that.
But anyway, this example I just gave of reasons the media will not tell you the truth about these things. They have too much of a stake in it, and they always have from the earliest days of radio. The radio stations paid their bills by selling ads to hucksters of all kinds of snake oil.
So you're thinking that, for example, if we were supported by, if we were these guys, we wouldn't be able to openly be talking like we are?
Right. I've tried to comment to the Star Advertiser about that ad, and they won't reply. They won't run my letter. They won't have anything to do with it. That is an essential part of their business model, is to sell ads to scam artists. And most scam artistry these days goes on in the health field, because health is such a vague thing. There's so many blurry lines. There's so much fuzziness to it. There's so much subjectivity to it that it's easy pickings for con artists who are, of glib tongue. But anyway, this problem with the media, which I have been following for at least 30 years, that they universally, almost unanimously, almost always favor and promote any controversial health ideas. For example, when acupuncture started becoming a big thing, partly because of Bill Moyer's book and PBS series Healing on the Mind, which was just a horrendous piece of phony pseudo-journalism, the worst journalism you can imagine.
Bill Moyer's book?
Bill Moyer's book and his PBS series with that, with all these claims about healing and acupuncture anesthesia, and the whole American media just went nuts with it. And then we're going to have revolutions in the hospital, no more dangerous anesthetics, we're going to use none of that ever happened, because it was all baloney from the very beginning.
Have you ever had acupuncture by example yourself?
No.
Okay. I have, but I'm not going to use me as an example, because I didn't have any real healing needed. I didn't think at the time. But I can tell you that when I was, 30-something years ago, my wife was studying to be a doctor of acupuncture and herbs in Los Angeles, and went to California Acupuncture College. And they were treating people in sports medicine to relieve pain. Now, sometimes that can be shown, and you can immediately see a result, that needles put into different places. It's thousands of years old, so obviously there's a lot of
astrology is thousands of years old. I don't buy this age argument. No one's going to tell me that something is so many thousands of years old, therefore it must be true.
Okay, well, we don't have to buy that, but I'm just sharing that I have physically seen. She had a carpal tunnel thing they were going to operate, and through 3 treatments, things changed. I'm not going to describe what happened because I don't know.
Well,
But
like I
did
say,
see
health is a very difficult, vague, fuzzy
But
area.
that was measured by the fact that the carpal tunnel syndrome. So now I'm not saying
Look,
that everyone
after all these years, there should be very good, solid clinical studies, evidence published in major
journals.
science medicine journals. You can't just take one example of a person. You can't say this person had cancer and I put this saliva from this dog on her head and the cancer went away. That proves nothing. That's just nonsense talking.
All right. Well, again, I wouldn't be surprised now that we're discussing it if people might not come forward to at least share different things that they consider proof.
Okay, let me share this.
Yeah.
This problem with the media, like all these morning talk shows, the anchors, they just universally, and I actually kept track of this for several months. Every time there was a feature on so-called alternative medicine, be it energy healing, Reiki, acupuncture, naturopathy, chiropractic, the hosts, the people running the show, were always super enthusiastic, never a negative word. And actually, through I'd say the last 30 years, media coverage of these things has been at least 95% positive and only 5% critical. And this is a real pity because now the public has been so indoctrinated that things are being legalized that are actually fraud. And so you have these so-called health practitioners who are doing things that if a medical doctor were to do them, he or she would lose the medical license.
I get that.
I mean, there is so much fraud in this alternative medicine nonsense. But anyway, as far as the media coverage, let me give your listeners this information. I have 2 free ebooks available.
Okay.
And they're available at smashwords.com. Smashwords.com.
Smashwords. Okay.
And just put my name, Kurt Butler, in the search box, and the 2 books will come up. One is a book called Lying for Fun and Profit, The Truth About the Media. Actually, I'm not like Trump. I think the media do a very good job on most issues. They do a good job on environmental issues, on political issues, but on health issues,
all right,
they are just falling down and totally unprofessional and totally unethical. And it's because of their unethical commercial ties to the health fraud industries that they do this.
Would you think that are you open to seeing something to
I've always been open. You know, people through the years have called me narrow-minded.
Are you hated? Because you want proof? I wouldn't think that would be a reason.
Because a lot of these fervently held ideas that people hold are basically religious ideas. Acupuncture, and this is religion written into state law, which is completely unconstitutional. The definition of acupuncture in the state law books, in the statutes, defines acupuncture. I don't remember the exact definition, but defines acupuncture as a technique of using fine needles to move ki around in the meridians by accessing.
That's how it's defined?
Yeah, by accessing
in the meridians.
Right.
Is a definition.
Right. And now the problem is that none of these things has ever been proved to exist. There is.
Well, I don't think that's true, though. That's
no, there are. No one has ever shown that acupuncture point exists. No one has ever shown that these meridians exist. No one has ever demonstrated the existence of this key. These, you know, energy through the years. If there's a new kind of energy, physicists know how to detect it and measure it. You know, physicists can now photograph not just a single molecule, but a single atom. And even given that power, no one has ever discovered an acupuncture point or an acupuncture meridian.
Some information.
And yet, What are we going to do when there is no evidence that there is this alternative physiology with this network of meridians that no one has ever... Well, are we going to put this in the textbooks? Are we going to teach this nonsense to school kids?
Well, again, I question whether that there's been no things that have identified the proofs. I'm not saying that everyone that's doing it has the ability to measure what they're doing, but I've seen people measure things in ways that are quantitative. I'm not saying that there isn't hocus pocus and quackery going on. That I know, and you know. A lot of people are very, very, I don't know whether, non-proof driven.
Look, acupuncturists themselves do not even agree how many acupuncture points there are or exactly where they are.
But that doesn't
They'll
mean
claim
there isn't
anywhere from
value,
20
right?
to 200 acupuncture points, and these are the experts.
I don't
That's
know
like
where
an
you-
anatomist saying, well, humans have 2 arms, but maybe they have 8. We're not sure.
I've never heard that. I never heard anyone question the meridians only, or
Of
the
course you
number of
haven't.
points.
The media
I would
have
love to be able
totally
to see that.
indoctrinated the entire public.
Imagine everyone would like to understand. And do you think that people would go to acupuncture if they didn't know it was going to help them? Maybe. You think they would keep going if they didn't know if it was helping them?
Well, we don't have figures on how many people do keep going. But a lot of people, just like attention, acupuncture is a rather dramatic, theatrical placebo. That's what it is. If people had been indoctrinated to believe in any kind of magical ritual, and insurance paid for it, they go for it.
I'm going to break in only because we're going to take and get our sponsors and what do we call them here? Our supporters. We're going to give them recognition. And we'll come back to this. But I just know that your references about non-proof, I think it's possible. But I've seen people that come from a place of proof, and I would love to be able to share it with you. Not to in any way diminish what you're saying, because a lot of claims are made. But I do think...
Are we on the air?
We're on the air now. We want to come back, or you want to mention it now, and then we're going to run in a few seconds? Go ahead.
Well, okay, you got smashwords.com for the 2 books. All my blogs, and there are a couple dozen of them, kurtbutlerblogs.blogspot.com. kurtbutlerblogs.blogspot.com.
Right.
And my Twitter handle is @MauiLiberty.
So when you are making these statements, they're statements of opinion, just like you say these guys are giving their opinions. They don't have any proof.
Well, I'm making statements of fact. No one has ever discovered an acupuncture point. It would be headline news all over the world if somebody had.
We're going to go to our break, and then I'll come back. I'll see what we can discuss. All right?
Okay.
We're here with Kurt Butler. I'm Jason Schwartz. Let's go to our station sponsors and supporters right now. The Neutral Zone, with me, Jason Schwartz, would like to thank Maui Arts and Music Association, Dreammakers Foundation of Maui, for their support. Since 1991, with hundreds of television shows and their MauiArtsandMusic.com website, they have championed self-sustainability on Maui. The Neutral Zone is heard live Mondays at 11 a.m. and replayed Saturday at 7 a.m. on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui.
Do you have a non-profit event coming up that you would like the public to know about? Is there an important social issue for which you'd like to raise awareness? Akaku can help you get the word out. You can come in and record a 1-minute public service announcement for the subject of your choice at no cost to you. Slots are available Mondays and Wednesdays between 1 and 3. Remember, it's free, so call 871-5554 and reserve your spot today.
The Akaku Upstairs Spring Salon season has begun. Every Thursday evening between now and the end of April, the public is invited to hear informative speakers. On March 7, Healing Touch practitioner and former hospice nurse Shirley Ramey will share her 5-step plan to relieve the stress of being a caregiver. Shirley's Eye Care program, which stands for I Create a Restorative Experience, focuses on improving caregiver health and well-being. Salons are held Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Media Lab, Suite 204. But we do request that you RSVP at 871-5554 just to let us know that you're coming.
The Grateful Dead played a different set list at every show. Since no two concerts were ever the same on stage, the same goes with the Grateful Dead radio program on KAKU 88.5 FM. Saturday night at 8 and Sunday night at 9, it's Dead Air. It's an hour of killer recordings, stories from the Tapers section, tall tales from the parking lot, and I'll throw in an interview from time to time. Hey, I'm Corey Daniels. Saturday night at 8 and Sunday night at 9, you'll get Dead Air on KAKU 88.5 FM. The voice of Maui.
They'll challenge your authority because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, and in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Well, we are back. Aloha. This is Jason Schwartz. I'm here with Kurt Butler in the neutral zone. 88.5 FM, Akaku's radio station, I should say, but KAKU, the voice of Maui. Well, we're going to get these shows on TV, and when we do, we're going to have, I want to call it B-roll, where when we're talking about things, we're going to be putting them up on the screen so you can see what we're talking about. And we're going to let our audience in the television world know about our radio station. I hope that all of you will share with people you know that KAKU 88.5 FM is their radio station. It's a radio station for all of us to express our opinions of all kinds. You know, Kurt, I am happy to be here with you. I really very much agree with you that the health world has a lot of stuff going on that are not proven. But over the years, I have both personally had experience with some of these things. I haven't had an acupuncture specifically treatment myself that's helped, but I can't deny what happened 35 years ago, and I know that they were ready to operate and then didn't have it, it wasn't needed. And they could see physical differences. That was years ago. When I mentioned that I was going to be on with someone who was refuting acupuncture, I had a couple of acupuncturists say, but I know that even if you were to sit in the same room with them, unless they can show you proof, and I appreciate, you want proof, just like a scientist would want proof, some measurable way to see that this is what's causing the change.
Right, clinical results.
Right. So I'm going to do my homework and see if I can find something like that to help.
Email it to me.
I'd be happy to.
Tweet it to me, however.
What's your email address? You want to give that to our audience?
I'm a little nervous about giving that over the air, but you have my card.
What was the Twitter? You had a couple
The Twitter handle is @Maui Liberty.
Okay. Now, we did our thing probably, 20 years ago. You look as young as you did then.
Well, thank you.
What do you do when you're not sitting on the radio with me?
I jog and walk a lot. I believe walking, humans were meant to walk.
Gave me his bus pass. Well, thank you. Okay.
And
all right.
I also believe in eating right, which means eating a lot of whole, minimally processed, mostly plant food. I eat a little seafood, occasional egg, low-fat milk, but mostly I eat fruits and vegetables and grains. And
organic as you try, right?
I don't think the organic label means that much.
I actually read an article this morning, again, that they did a test that showed that people that eat organic have a less risk of cancer, and they mentioned a few other things. This is, again, statistics, what they found over the years. I think they say it's because it's less pesticides. And whatever we say, I think that organic has at least given everyone a drive back to what is natural and things that are safer for us all. I think it can be healthy. It could be used deceitfully, as again, like you talk about marketing. A lot of
I think the jury's still out on the health benefits. There are definitely some environmental benefits to the organic farming movement. I'm an avid gardener myself. I don't live where I can have a garden right now, but when I lived on Oahu, I grew all kinds of papayas and bananas and tomatoes, and it's a wonderful hobby and profession, and I admire small farmers who have the guts to get out there and give it a try. Everyone should give it a try. And there's nothing like fresh-grown, homegrown fruits and vegetables.
Everyone that I've met that's healthy, there was a gentleman here last week. Do you know Dr. Sasha Lesson?
No.
Well, he would be an interesting conversation with you. He's 77 years old, drives from Wai'ehu on his bicycle to Baldwin Beach, rain or shine, every day. And his first thing he said out of his mouth about how he stays that way is he has a garden. And people that eat out of their garden and don't eat processed foods are generally, that I've seen, healthier. You know, it can be lots of reasons.
Now, I once had a garden a few years ago that had a variety of peas and beans, corn, arugula, cabbage, lettuce, tomatoes. And sometimes around sunset, I would just go out in that garden and just start picking and eating from the garden. And just have my salad, on foot. And
we all should have that experience in our lives. And like you say, maybe I've seen farming things, maybe they're not allowed wherever we are. They only allow us 2 plants where I live, only 2 pots. It's like, if you don't have a house, you got to live by somebody else's rules.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I also love growing things, and eating from my own garden was a great pleasure.
By the way, this reminds me of a totally unrelated subject. There was an article in the Maui Time a couple weeks ago, and it quoted the chief of police, Fu'uamu, as saying that this whole medical marijuana thing is a bad idea. There's already medical marijuana. It's a prescription drug called Marinol. And
that's what Tavoli Famu said.
And he says you can get all the benefits of medical marijuana, but it doesn't get you high. Now, the fact of the matter is, Marinol is AbbVie Pharmaceuticals' version of Delta-9 THC. It is pure Delta-9 THC. It is what gets you high in marijuana.
I know people on all sides of the medical marijuana and marijuana issue that were at odds with the chief's statements and letter, and they've been taking shots at him here in different kinds of
Well, I've just been puzzled for years about this whole debate about medical marijuana when it's been here all the time. It has been here all along.
What has been here?
Marinol. Marinol
forever.
Is a pharmaceutical pill that is Delta-9 THC, and it will get you high. The chief is absolutely wrong about that.
And what was the reason that one would want to use Marinol? Because he's worried that getting you high is a problem? Did he mention alcohol?
That's right. That's right. There's a lot of hypocrisy around this area. Now, I don't think that I think marijuana is a fairly risky drug. I've known people to get hooked on it and slow their lives down substantially. But when I think of if they had been on alcohol instead, they'd be even much worse off. So you have to consider that too.
But it is interesting that things, I was very uncomfortable when I saw the letter. Only when I first read it, I thought, I wonder if I want to make a comment about this. And then I was out there, and it came to me where people were uncomfortable that the chief did that. Maybe we'll get him or on the show. Maybe we'll have him on. If he'd like, he's welcome. I hope that if you're watching or listening, Chief, you'll consider coming on the show. Medical marijuana, alcohol, any other, acupuncture. I know that always through the years, as I remember it now, you really, health has been your main area because you somehow felt that unsubstantiated healing has so many different, I want to say, faces here on Maui, and you've lived through them. Any other areas? I mean, acupuncture, like I said, specifically, I am open to understanding that many people go to acupuncture and don't really have any clear idea of what kind of result they're going to get.
Yeah.
I know people that have used it. You know, a lot of people say, well, it's okay for pain, but not for this other stuff. All kinds of rules. Any other areas?
No, I gave you that example right off the bat about the young man in his 30s who claimed that he had been cured of heart disease. An acupuncturist told him he didn't have to take his heart medicine anymore.
Oh, I never heard that.
I didn't tell you that?
No.
Okay, well,
what's that one?
This was 12, 13 years ago. I had a reputation, like I still have, of being skeptical of so-called alternative medicine. And so people were always wanting, Maui's full of people who believe all this stuff. Mm-hmm. This one guy, a neighbor, he was always coming over and picking arguments with me. And he said, okay, I have absolute proof. I have a congenital heart disease. I was on a heart medication almost all my life. The cardiologist told me if I stopped taking this, I would die. But I've been seeing an acupuncturist for a couple months, and he's been treating me with acupuncture and herbs. And he recently said that I'm now cured, and I don't have to take that medicine anymore. So you see, you are wrong. You are absolutely wrong.
And he dropped dead 2 months later?
The acupuncturist saved my life. 2 weeks later, I read in the newspaper, death notice. He had been found. He was only in his mid-30s. He had been found in his apartment, dead of a heart attack.
Well,
wait. Let me finish the story.
Please.
I was pretty upset about it. I called the coroner's office. I talked to the pathologist who did the autopsy, and he was mad as hell. He said that acupuncturist killed this guy by telling him, you know, acupuncturists are not qualified doctors. They shouldn't be telling people to go on or off of medications.
Absolutely.
And then he proceeded to tell me of another incident of another young man in his mid-30s who was perfectly healthy, except he got a bad infection, a staph infection, and as it got worse and worse, he thought about going to a doctor, maybe get antibiotics, but somebody talked him into going to an acupuncturist, because acupuncture can heal everything. Hey, it's ancient Chinese medicine. The Chinese are never wrong. I don't know where we got this idea that the Chinese...
I don't know where you heard that line.
And you know, it's...
Acupuncturists don't do everything.
Look at the ads for acupuncture. They will point to every bottom system, every kind of disorder. They will claim that they can help with it.
I mean, I would
and
never
this guy
see
believed
someone, as an acupuncturist, recommend to someone to go off a medication. That, to me, is a step over a line. That's when we talk about the testing. I can't imagine someone would buy something, hook, line, and sinker, that they've been on for years and years. I've seen it happen in the opioids, where 15 years ago, someone has prescribed something that now is considered a deadly monster, and the doctors stopped giving them their medication, and they are in constant pain. And the doctors are so afraid of the laws rewritten to clamp down. So I think it goes both ways. I
don't think that has anything to do with what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, this acupuncturist, this pathologist who did these autopsies told me about another case where a man, he was perfectly healthy except for a staph infection. He goes to an acupuncturist. He develops sepsis, and he dies a horrible death of sepsis, which is internal infection through the blood. And then he told me of another woman who was in her 50s. She went to an acupuncturist for breast cancer treatment. And you see, there's nothing to stop these acupuncturists from saying that they can help with these things, even though there's not a scrap of evidence that they can help with these things.
Well, but in no way do I refute what you just said. I don't think it's the role of an acupuncturist to tell someone to stop their medication blindly. I think that's absolutely a mistake. if someone were to monitor their significant things in some measurable way and make their personal decision they want to, and anything we've ever heard, don't they always tell you to go off slowly because it can have horrible effects on the body? So I agree with what you said, but I also know that I've seen people have benefits, and I don't really want to.
You're not qualified to tell what is a benefit. The human.
I'm just saying
the human body is very complex.
Qualified to say that an acupuncturist should not tell somebody to go off their medication without
absolutely,
some kind of,
but there's nothing to stop them from doing
I've
it.
seen benefits, whether measured or not. I've seen benefits, and so I can't throw a fire on all acupuncturists. And I also know that many people that are studying acupuncture did it as an alternative because they didn't like what they saw in Western medicine. So
no, it's because they couldn't get into medical school, or they couldn't afford to go to medical school.
Why not?
They want to play with people's lives, and if they can't do it properly by going to medical school, they're going to do it by going to some quack school, learning some bogus medical profession with an alternative anatomy that makes no sense, has never been proven, and it's all because they're powerful lobbyists. They get these little organizations going, and they go to the legislatures, and they give them money for their political campaigns, and they get their, we're going to have about 10
I wonder
alternative, different medical systems that don't even overlap, like Ayurveda is one that could be licensed soon.
Well, again, all you're saying to me is that you are a science-based guy, and the things that people claim need to be substantiated, and it comes out like a pimple. It comes out in many ways in our system, and it's driven by greed, and it pervades the media, it pervades the way people treat each other and claims, and people believe people that have no right to make a claim and lead people on their health path.
It's about consumer protection in healthcare. We have consumer protection in every kind of field. You can't sell gasoline or a car that with ads that make totally false claims, 100 miles a gallon when it only gets 10. You can't do that. But in healthcare, you can make all kinds of claims that these supplements will do this and that they
really
won't
can't
do
anymore. There's years ago we saw, and I say years ago, when we were younger, you and I saw things were much more bold. There were times when health claims were clamped down on a lot.
No, they weren't.
Before acupuncture was given the
Congress
ability,
tried to clamp down on supplement claims, and what happened was all the health fraud stores just absolutely drowned Washington in a blizzard of petitions saying, don't take away our vitamins. On all the so-called health food stores in this island, there were flyers saying, write your congressman, tell them don't make vitamins illegal. No one was ever going to make vitamins illegal. No one is ever going to get thrown in jail. I mean, this is just insanity. What they were trying to do was stop these manufacturers from claiming that their little combination of vitamins and herbs was going to cure cancer or was going to cure anything. And so they got the ball rolling on legislation, but it got totally drowned, and to where the Congress passed the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of, I believe, 1994, which absolutely made the FDA had to be hands-off on vitamins and herbs and anything called a supplement.
Okay, but isn't it so that in the last numbers of years we've seen a drive toward labeling? We might pick GMO as a reason for labeling.
You know what the supplement industry actually fought against a law that would require that they actually have in the bottle what it says on the label, and in the same amounts. A lot of these so-called supplements you buy do not have the amount of vitamins, Sometimes they don't even have the herb at all. They have another herb in it. There's just no control over this because the industry wanted no control. And it's a very powerful $100 billion a year industry that gives money to politicians both lawfully and under the table.
So when I hear that, I keep thinking it sounds like a conspiracy that you say now is kind of pervasive into our society, where people are protective of alternative medicines to a fault. I can appreciate that. I also, though, wonder, you're open to conversation about this. What is your, I would like to say, what is your why? Obviously, you have time on your hands. You do walking and
What
is it
motivates
something that
me?
what motivates you and keeps motivating you? Because you've been doing this a while.
I think it's because it's analogous to if I saw a burglar breaking into somebody's house and nobody else saw it, I was the only person who saw it, I would feel obligated to call 911.
All right.
Now, it's more complicated with this because most people have been indoctrinated by the media to believe in this stuff, and
Not
so
blindly, though. A lot of people
very
are not
largely
blindly.
blindly. If you read my book, Line for Fun and Profit, my free ebook available at smashwords.com, you will see this is absolute documentation. These aren't just impressions and vague ideas. I give absolute specific examples. For example, CBS called me once they wanted to interview me on 48 Hours because they had seen the title of a book I wrote on alternative medicine. They misunderstood. They thought I was a pro-alternative medicine guy. They wanted me to come on. They were doing an hour show, a 1 hour show on alternative medicine, a special, and they wanted me to be one of the people who was going to get in there and hype alternative medicine. And as we were preparing for the show a week ahead of time, the producer asked me, okay, can you just give me a preview, like a couple stories of people who have been miraculously cured by alternative medicine?
He actually asked you that.
Yeah, she did. And I said no, but I can give you plenty of examples of people who have been harmed and killed by alternative medicine. And there was a long silence. She realized that
You
she had
the advocate she was hoping to
That's
have.
right. And she says, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get back to you in a couple days. And she never got back to me. I was not on the show. The show turned out to be exactly what I thought it would be, practically a paid commercial for every kind of crackpot healing system you can imagine. And that's how the media deal with these things.
Only because I never thought of myself as media, but people think of me as media. They pigeonholed me here.
Yeah.
I leave room for people like me who aren't that.
No. When I
Because
say media, I mean the mainstream mass media. Now, most of this was before the internet. The internet has changed things a bit. There are a lot more opinions, but there's also a lot more quackery. The internet is practically, I've heard that the internet overall is paid for by porn. That the porn is the biggest income driver, biggest revenue driver. Well, that may or may not be true, but I know it's true that the mainstream media and a good part of the internet are driven by health fraud, by fraudulent alternative medicine, the revenues from all those health scams.
Well, I have no way to refute and wouldn't want to. I think that anything that anyone does, they should look before they leap. And we can't deny that the media does things for sensationalism and ratings, and many times they want to deliver to an audience what the audience is expecting. They don't, like yourself, you're an outside-the-box guy. You're not buying it hook, line, and sinker, but I'm putting words in your mouth. But you are open to hearing and seeing proof, so if our audience cares to come forward, whether to support what you say or deny what you say, you're open to hearing and seeing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, let me give you an example of an article that has stayed in my mind nearly 30 years, and this was an article in the Star Advertiser back in the 1980s.
Okay.
And I think that was about when naturopaths were starting to get licensed and legalized here in Hawaii. And there was a big full-page article promoting the wonders of naturopathy. And they quoted all these different naturopaths saying, and this was about the time the AIDS epidemic was taking off, and these naturopaths were vigorously denouncing the drugs that doctors were giving AIDS patients. These drugs will kill people. You can cure AIDS with acupuncture and diet and chiropractic and all this kind of stuff, and herbs. And
Chiropractic, I mean, you're bundling
and so
things
this is what they were saying.
interestingly.
This is what naturopaths were saying in the 1980s. And to a man and woman, they denounced the antiretroviral drugs that were just starting to be used back then. Now let's look at the situation now. Magic Johnson is still alive. What? Almost 20 years after his diagnosis, and millions of people, he is no exception, millions of people have been saved by these antiretroviral drugs, including millions of people in Africa. The people who believe the naturopaths are dead.
I only have one thing to say. We only have a couple of minutes left, and your subjects demand more scrutiny. And again, if there was a naturopathic group that referenced that, I've seen people that were studying in medical school and ended up becoming naturopaths rather than doctors. But so I know it's probably different on their motivations. But I don't like to wholesale knock out a whole industry because of problems. But I do recognize, and I recognize in you, you're a valiant crusader for truth, and
Well,
I
thank you,
appreciate
thank
that.
you.
I would like to think that you'd come back on our show, maybe talk to others that are here,
Sure.
want to show other things.
Or even talk on the phone.
Kurt Butler is available to everyone at the places that you can look at our website and see the show again at MauiNeutralZone.com. It's been a pleasure having Kurt Butler here on our show today. I hope that everyone is listening, and we'll come back every Monday at 11 and actually watch and listen to KAKU all the time. We got some terrific programming. In a week, we're going to have some different people and different subjects. We hope that when you come back here, you'll then go to our website and pick up some of the shows like this one and others that are come and gone, but will be here for the future. Thank you for joining us. Kurt, thank you for being here with me.
Thank you, Jason. I've had fun doing this.
I am going to let you guys go, and thank you for being here at the Neutral Zone. See you next week.